Hey guys, how you doing? I really appreciate you being here. It's incredibly beautiful in Portland right now. We have a little bit of a different situation today, and my guest couldn't be here, so I have a fun opportunity to just share my kiddo with you. We just came back from getting our first vaccination, so if you want to hang out and get to know my boy Nolan Rankin, stay tight, hang tight for a minute, and we'll do that. Adrian Ost, we'll find out what happened and we'll get him rescheduled. And my apologies for those of you waiting to see and hang out and chat with Adrian, but have no fear. This guest will be a lot of fun. So before I get started, let me just say I'm so grateful for my buddies at Five Star Guitars. They are based in Beaverton, Oregon. They've supported this show forever. They have no sales tax. So you're going to save lots of money by buying guitars. And if you use the link below, fivestarguitars.com/all access live, using the promo code all access 15, you're going to save 15%. So let them know I sent you. And thanks again to Five Star. Now, this dude is probably the sweetest man you've ever seen. He's got incredibly wonderful values, and he's been an inspiration to me. So we figured since Adrian couldn't be here today, my boy Nolan was gracious enough to show up here. So Nolan, thank you for being here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Uh, for those of you that don't know, Nolan is typically fairly shy until you get to know him. But when I was stressing out a little bit because my guest couldn't be here, he said, "I'll be a backup if you want me to be," and he knows this is a lot for him. But um, let me just say, Nolan, first of all, thank you for inspiring me in so many great um, moral ways. I think a lot of times when I think about choosing the right thing to do, I think about what Nolan would say. So thank you for being that for me. Uh, um,
Well, I learned from the best.
yeah,
So
your mom, she's great, man. Um,
no, no, you and mom, of
well,
course.
it,
Uh,
I know that you and we did a little bit of a family podcast back at Thanksgiving, which was really cool. But not a lot of people get to know too much about you because you're not as sort of promoting out on. Gosh, I'm short for words. I'm going to blame it on the vaccine. Okay, so you're not out there promoting yourself as much as your bigger brother, right? So. Getting to know Nolan just a little bit. Tell us a little bit about how old you are, what you're into, and what you like to do.
sure. All right. So I'm 19. I graduated from Oregon City High School last year, and I'm taking a break from school. I'm gonna go to Clackamas Community College, hopefully in the fall if they go back in person. But So I pretty much just like to longboard. I used to sing a lot. I was in choir for about 6 years. Um, uh, yeah, I'd like to play video games. I make videos myself sometimes. Um, and
This is your
yeah,
resume, right? You're doing a. I know that you're filling out resumes right now because well,
right.
you've got a cool gig, but you're chomping at the bit to get a job.
hmm
Where are you looking at?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm looking into other jobs, especially Benchmade. I have a friend, one of my good friends, Brandon. He works there. Uh, and yeah, I'm hoping to go work with him. That would be cool. He assembles knives, and yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, Y- I think Brandon's been there long enough to let you know the ins and outs of the gig, and it's probably better than the dishwashing job that you had for a long time, right? So,
Exactly. Yeah, I washed dishes all the time for years straight,
God,
and yeah, I'm done with that.
it's a good first
Um,
job to have, though.
yeah,
When you
yeah, it definitely was an experience. It was hard work, a lot of hard work, and if I didn't have that, then it would be a lot harder to pursue other jobs for
Yeah.
sure.
You know what you don't want to have anyway, right? So eventually, what do
Mhm.
you feel like you want to have for a career?
Man, you know, it's not always about money. Definitely, for sure, a job with a lot of fun, but not too much fun, of course, because then it wouldn't be a job. But I don't want it to feel like a job. I want it to feel like I'm just living, not in a cubicle. No cubicles, 9 to 5. That would that doesn't interest me. But it's just not for everyone.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
for some people, of course. But yeah, I would love to do something in the marine biology environment where maybe scuba diving, maybe just research in general, finding new species. That would be definitely for sure a uh, a big goal of mine. Um, but I'm on my way. Hopefully in
yeah.
college,
Yeah.
maybe going to OSU eventually. And,
Yeah. So Oregon State
yeah.
University's got a great marine biology program, right? And
Mhm. Mhm.
it's interesting because we went and got our vaccinations today. Do you remember that the first day that the state shut down, we were out there visiting the marine biology program in Newport when they shut down all the facilities. Remember that? And we were the last ones in there, and they said, "Well, since we're shut down, you guys may as well hang out, walk around, and check out the building." But that was
Yeah.
when the world kind of came to an end for a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But
It's
that place is amazing, though. You know, one of the folks in the chat, I just noticed chat on Facebook, Melanie Singer. I'm glad to see you're here. She said she remembers that I did a live concert or live video from one of your concerts, and it's funny because I got so used to doing dad stuff, going to your choir concerts and Caleb's jazz band concerts, and I miss some of that stuff now, And so the great thing about the pandemic is that we've been able to spend a little bit more time together doing stuff. You're not in school. I'm not. I don't work a day job, right? So, but so today, Nolan here he took me up to North Vancouver because it was the closest I could get to get a vaccination, my first, and waiting on a vehicle to be repaired. So Nolan offered to drive me up there, and they had a no show, so we got to sneak him in, whatever. And yeah, oh, he's got his vaccination.
there
There
it
we
is.
go. There's the proof, man.
Yeah.
So how
I
was
was
it?
yeah, I was very fortunate. I'm so glad I got to get mine. Um, I didn't even have to sign up really ahead of time at least, but um, yeah, and it's really nice because at least after my second one, I can go around with way less worries, go into places and not feel like I'm gonna die because I'm sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good for us. It's good for everybody else out there,
Yeah, and
right?
others spreading to older people and people.
I mean, you work in food service right now, right? So Nolan works
Hmm.
I mean, you can tell him what you do. He works at.
Yeah, yeah. Right now I'm working at Jimio's Pizzeria. It's just a local pizza place, and I make pizzas, I make salads, just a lot of food prep, and I communicate with customers a lot. I interact with them, and that'll definitely help. I wouldn't want to get anyone sick there. Of
Yeah.
course, I wouldn't want to get my sick myself and spread it to others, my family, my coworkers, friends. So
Yeah.
I'm really happy that this vaccination is going on.
You
So
guys watching this, so you can already pick up on the common or the common thread with Nolan, is that he thinks about all the other people that could be affected if he were to get COVID, not himself, and that's how he's always been. So, um, I think I should clarify. My friend Kayvon in Toronto said North Vancouver, Washington, or North Vancouver, BC. Yeah, no, North Vancouver, Washington. Vancouver and Portland are adjacent to each other right across a river. And so it wasn't a 5.5 hour drive to BC, but we did have to drive about an hour north. And then the follow up appointment has to be at the same place. So we've got appointment scheduled May 12th. So We get to go back and do it again. For the people that haven't been vaccinated and had the shot, what would you say to them about the pain? Was it bad?
Yeah, no, it really wasn't that big of a deal. Like, it was just a little prick.
What'd you call
Like
me?
getting
No, I'm just kidding.
no,
Sorry.
no, just a little stab.
Uh-huh.
It really wasn't that much. I wouldn't be worried about it for anyone. But
Yeah. Like,
uh,
I,
of
hopefully, most of
course,
our friends out here already have it, right? But
yeah, yeah.
it was in and out before you knew it, which is that's what she said. But now, but it's funny because we were driving home, and about an hour later, right, arm got a little achy, but not bad. You hear
Hmm.
some people have a real reaction to the second one, which is it's a drag. But I think everybody's bodies are so different, and the way that people's bodies respond to COVID too. Some people have no real reaction, and some people pass, unfortunately. Look
Hmm.
at our sweet friend Claudia in Germany. She says she's going to have to wait a long time because Germany doesn't have a vaccine.
Uh,
Another reason we need Claudia here, right? I need, we'd get you a vaccine. I'd have a built-in sweet hair maiden, and glad to see you here too, Mike Klaus. Nolan, you were just oh, look at this. We got some good questions here. My buddy Tony Hughes is in the hospital right now. He did the podcast a couple months ago, and man, I'm hopeful, buddy, that you're recovering and in good hands at OHSU. Kelly Sweet Jensen says, Nolan, you'll find that any job you love, you still have to work. You have work days that aren't fun, but it's worth it. Trust me. You can thrive not having a cubicle or a real job, as you well know, given your dad's a brilliant example. Keep moving forward toward your dream job. Nolan would be the
Thank you.
first one. Nolan could probably tell you that the way that my work is, it's not always. Some people might they have the impression that I would make a living playing music, which is certainly not the case. If I had to depend on music, especially this last year, I'd be screwed. But I got a web business, and thankfully, I can do them both at the same time. Nolan has, it's been a curse and a blessing for my kids to see that, so can you imagine some people can't be a self-starter, Nolan? Some people can't get out there and hustle new work the way that I've done. And do you see yourself as being somebody that would rather work, say, on a team in a marine biology field, or would you want to go as a contractor and go out there and do special projects for, say, marine science organizations?
Um, Honestly, I think working as a team would be nice. I'd build relationships, friendships, all sorts of things. But I do work well alone as well. So either one really. But yeah, I think working as a team would definitely benefit me.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. One thing that I've mentioned, and I told you this before, but I said it on the show, that if you love what you do, it's never work, right? So, uh,
Hmm.
you know, the music business, one of the reasons that I wanted to work something else besides just music was because I didn't want it to feel like work. I didn't want it to feel like an obligation or a mundane. And so I still get so excited about going off and playing my shows, doing these songs. Sometimes we play the same songs so many times. And people ask me, do you ever get sick of playing Space Age Love Song? And to me, I pinch myself, right? I'm like, are you kidding me? You'll pay me to go out and play some of my favorite songs, meet some of my favorite people, travel the world. And yeah, there are days where it's difficult, but you know, some of my favorite experiences, and I'd love to share them, are being able to take my family members out. And one of my hands down favorite experiences, and maybe you can share some about it, was when we went to Europe a couple years ago. You want to talk about that and what that gig entailed and all the things around it to get there and back?
Uh, yeah, but I don't remember. I was asleep the whole time.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah, I think I slept 14 hours each day.
That's true. You know,
Uh,
as before you start, I should tell you, Mike Collins just said, "Digging the Sergeant Pepper era McCartney stash on Nolan," which that's exactly what he's going for, man. The and okay,
yeah,
so yeah, tell him about the whole thing, the McCartney and the Beatles connection that we had out there, and so
right. Yeah,
yeah,
those definitely link. Yeah, I that was really when the whole Beatles phase for me took off. I've always liked them since I was like about 8 or 9. That's when I first like heard them. Like, oh wow, this band is awesome. But like, I started listening to all of the songs after that, like around 2018, and going to England, like that was a perfect opportunity. Um, and you had a gig in Belgium, so Belgium, like it's really not that far, honestly. Like maybe like going through the Channel, that was fun. And going through France, um, it didn't really take that long. And Liverpool is a bit north, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it was definitely a fun drive. Of course, I was asleep in the car a lot of the time, but
Well,
um,
when we first landed, do you remember where we came in, we flew into?
yeah, it was Brussels, right?
It was Brussels. That's right. And
Uh-huh.
then went directly. Uh, you remember because we drove around a little bit through France and Claudia's she's talking about the vaccine. We'll get to that in a second. But remember that like in that first day, right? We drove and we found small little unique towns. Ended up in Paris within 24 hours of us landing, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you remember some Paris, right?
Yeah, Belgium to start was really cool. It was really weird. It's like uh how different it was. Just people driving on the other side of the road, little shops just randomly with a whole bunch of really interesting things. Like even the bathrooms were so much different.
It's true.
Um, Having like the chains that you pull to flush the toilet and just all sorts of very different things. And France was definitely really cool too. Going to see the Eiffel Tower at night and having it lit up and flashing, and it was definitely so amazing. Walking around the streets at night, and
Yeah, it was like 2 o'clock in
yeah,
the morning.
yeah, exactly, yeah. Got shakes and just
I don't even remember the shakes. Where were those?
oh, the blueberry shakes from McDonald's.
Oh my gosh, really late at night. That's right. I
Yeah,
forgot
yeah.
about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there were so many people in that
Yeah.
McDonald's, and it was like 2:30 a.m.
That's right. And didn't one of those guys try to fight me? Remember that guy?
Yeah, yeah. You were like, you're waiting patiently in line. He's like thinking like you were cutting him or something, and he's like all drunk or
Yeah.
like, oh man, this is definitely a weird experience, but it was definitely really cool. And the next day going up to the Arc de Triomphe, um, walking up the spiral staircase to the top and taking amazing pictures, and the sights were so cool. Looking down at the road, giant circle, giant roundabout, uh, and like man, the roads just going on for miles.
That
Like
and it's cool because they spider out, right? So they have
hmm
like spokes, and the Arc de
hmm
Triomphe was right in the center of all that. So
yeah,
like,
yeah, it was amazing. Yeah, uh, it
uh,
was, it felt so high up too.
that's true. Yeah, it doesn't look that big, right? When you see it on pictures or you see it on TV or movies or anything, but when you're up
hmm
there, yeah, you're way, especially after having walked all the way up there. But remember watching, there were no stoplights, remember? And so there's no right of way, so people just were like running into each other and guys on motorcycles and bikes and yeah, it was
Inches away from hitting each other.
I know. I don't know how they don't kill each other, but my friend Kelly's sweet. She's down in Texas, and she's an amazing photographer. She said she's always rocketed by the normal but way different things in other countries. Like, why do Twix wrappers have to be so different than here?
Yeah.
But she wants to know what a favorite Nolan memory and a favorite dad memory were. I'll tell you my favorite Nolan memory for that trip. Well, I mean, it's hard to name them because there were a bunch. And because he's such a Beatles fan, going to Liverpool, going to Abbey Road in London, going to on the Magical Mystery Tour in Liverpool, where Nolan knew all of the stops and the sort of the points of interest way before we ever got there. And then he'd tell me a lot more about, say, Strawberry Fields or, um, uh, oh my goodness, Penny Lane, before we get there. And, I was just amazed by your passion about the music and the experience. My favorite experience, though, was watching you get wheeled out on stage in Belgium, right? We're playing this huge amphitheater indoor. It's kind of like a massive indoor sort of arena or
Right.
Quonset hut.
Yeah.
And the drum riser, Nolan was on the drum riser, and they wheeled him out right in front of this big, huge auditorium. And I was like, "That's my boy, man, living large."
I was so nervous. Like you're used to that kind of thing. I
What?
was set up on this like tall drum riser, like tons of people like who's that? No way that young kid is about to play for us.
Yeah, but you held it down, man. You looked like you knew what you're doing. You had your shades on. Remember that? And
Yeah, yeah, and
yeah,
that one picture is just so cool.
let's
Where-
let's see if I can find it. You keep talking. I'll find the picture.
Sure.
Uh,
Yeah, yeah. And the festival, W Fest. That's what it was.
that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was tons of 80s bands and all sorts of bands coming through. It was really cool, like getting to watch in the crowd. Um, all the lights they had were amazing too. Oh man. Uh, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, folks, I just got a call from Adrian Ost. He said he's sorry. He forgot us today. So that's cool because I'm excited to share Nolan with you, and we'll get Adrian on here soon. Um, but I'm trying to find that picture. Do you remember the other bands that were playing? Because you got to meet several of them on that one.
Yeah, I believe New Shoes was there. Um, right?
Not on that one.
No, okay.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Um, um, see, In Emotion wasn't
They were on the next day. New Shoes and Animotion, I think, were
next.
the next day. Yeah. So
Oh,
the day
okay.
that we played, right after our set, I think, or right before our set, was Bow Wow Wow. Remember that?
Right.
You got to
Yeah,
meet,
yeah.
you met Annabella,
Uh-huh.
and I have all these fun pictures. But where's the one of Nolan? This is great of Nolan on stage with his shades and being wheeled out there. I've got the Bow Wow Wow pics, but this is, let's see if people can see this. This is pretty rocking. This You would never know that this guy is not a drumming rock star right there. Love it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
so yeah, how about the Beatles experience? Tell me about that.
Yeah, so man, it was just like it's so amazing actually being there. Where I felt like a Beatle. It was just so cool like seeing Ringo's childhood home and McCartney's and Lennon's. Uh, man, like the museum too was so cool. Like and going to the Cavern Club. The museum had like all sorts of like they had the Abbey Road studio, like little model
That's right.
that you could see into. That was really cool. Let's see. Yeah, it pretty much just documented their whole career from like start to finish. Like starting out like they had like a little built cavern club, and it'd go into the kind of Hard Day's Night era, documenting their films and stuff. Um,
Oh,
and near the end,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
going into the Indian stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, lots of really cool stuff, for sure.
What was your favorite era of Beatles?
My favorite era,
Do you have a favorite album?
yeah, yeah. I think my favorite era would be like year specifically, like '67, Sergeant Pepper
Okay.
era. But it's hard to tell because they had like kind of if I'd have to say like three, one in the beginning where they're kind of getting into the concerts and starting their first uh, five albums, um, and that's where they're playing shows and all the fans, and they start getting into their psychedelic stuff in their second era, introducing Indian music and some of the harder rock type thing, and then towards the end where they kind of like settled down again, the Abbey Road, Let It Be era. They're all. It's really hard for me
Well,
to necessarily choose one, but I like the middle psychedelic era. It's so interesting. Like
yeah.
they were one of the first to start that kind of thing, along with Jimi Hendrix and some other like Cream and
Yeah.
artists like that. But
It's interesting because their career wasn't that long, right? So, I
hmm
mean, to
yeah,
have
only about
like those four
10.
air, yeah, about 10 years, right? Like
hmm
to have four distinctly different genres packed into a 10-year span, and they evolved. Every member changed during that time too, and
hmm
so
hmm
one thing I love is we talked about the favorite Beatle, right? When we were on the Magical Mystery Tour, I remember the tour guide said, "All right, so who on here's favorite Beatle was Ringo?" And only one lady raised her hand. Remember that? She said she was a
Yeah,
huge Ringo fan, but I don't think at that time you probably would have said that George Harrison was your favorite, right? Uh,
right. Yeah, yeah. Then I just really liked Paul. His I really liked his voice, and to this day, he's my favorite vocalist. And he's a great bass player. Um, but over time, it kind of evolved into George. George is just amazing guitar solos and sitar uh, playing and songwriting for sure. Like I feel like he's very underrated in his um, songwriting. Of course, like Here Comes the Sun and Something are one of his bigger hits, and those are amazing, amazing songs.
they are.
But some of the more psychedelic ones I just really like It's All Too Much. Um, let's see, Love You Too, and Within You Without You. Those specific ones are just so cool to me. I really like them.
I
But
I learned so much more about Beatles through you. When we were on that trip, I had a rudimentary knowledge of their hits and I knew some of their history, but I had no clue how much you knew about them. By the time we got there, you're telling me about backstories about their families. And when I had Ruth McCartney on the show, remember that? And so
hmm
his Paul's stepsister and stepdaughter, or wait, stepdaughter, right? And sister-in-law, is that right? Um, oh my gosh, I can't believe I can't remember the connection now. But she had all those crazy stories about Paul growing up, and the Beatles showing up at their house and how normal that stuff was for her. Can you imagine? I mean, it's probably just like being home with me, right? but you've had Jennifer Batten over at the house, and when you guys were younger, and I'd have Jennifer here or Bill Wadhams or some of the other musicians that I've been playing with. And, none of the neighbors would have any idea until we started playing in the garage or we'd have house concerts, right? And in the outside, and Jennifer would be doing these Michael Jackson songs. I don't think any of the neighbors realized, well, that's the girl that was actually playing with Michael Jackson and all those things.
yeah.
But it's a cool experience. For me, I love getting to share that stuff with because
hmm
you've always been very even keel. I will tell you, before you guys really understood, when I was touring with Animotion a lot, there were other bands that we toured with whose children came out on tour sometimes, and they were so entitled and so obnoxious that I thought, oh man, these kids are destined for really, really difficult times because they just Yeah, there was no discipline, there was no real connection for parents to teach them something on the road, you know? And one thing I love is that we get to go explore. When you guys come out with me, we go and we explore the culture. We had one
Hmm.
gig in Belgium, and the rest of the time, you and I got to go and, try the
Right. We
food.
went to like four different countries.
Hmm. Yeah, and it wasn't just a vacation. I mean, it was an educational, trip. And
For sure, yeah.
do you have one specific thing that just stood out to you on that trip that you thought, oh, that was the pinnacle?
Man. Yeah, there were so many things. But yeah, I mean, the whole Beatles thing was really cool. Uh, just doing the Magical Mystery Tour and the museum was amazing. But definitely like walking around the Eiffel Tower was so cool, and um, man, yeah, like
The
going
London
through.
Eye. When we were up on
Yeah, the
the
London, yes, yes, the London Eye, that was so cool. Like going across Abbey Road, and taking a picture, the perfect picture where you couldn't see any cars, and
yeah,
we were so lucky.
that is crazy. Let me see if I can find that one. That was nuts. That we yeah, there we are.
Yeah.
There's whoops. Let's see. Uh, Here's for people that want to see. Whoops. Yeah, normally there are so many cars just like piled up and getting mad that people are taking pictures and crossing the street, but
Yeah.
it was almost like we had rock star passes. Another experience that I was just thinking about that was really special to me. Well, we've had a handful. I mean, we had Santa Cruz Boardwalk, right? We're playing the amusement park. Uh,
Hmm.
we had an opportunity to go to Disney World, right? And we spent some time
Right.
down at Disney World. And
And
Hawaii wasn't a regular gig, but that was a really special one. Did you feel like the Hawaii trip was one of your favorite vacations?
yeah, yeah, and I wish I was older to remember it all. I was about like 8 or 7.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, about there. But yeah, that was definitely one of the best for sure. It was like just so pretty and uh, perfect weather all the time. Snorkeling, the beaches. Oh man, the black and sand beach, the green sand beach, sea turtles, man, uh, like amazing houses and stuff, and like really expensive cars going around, Ferraris and stuff.
That's
That was so cool.
yeah. That was an interesting thing, right? Because it was one of those rally kind of things where you pay whatever 10 grand to go and drive exotic cars all over the island, and
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that was so cool.
you'd hear them
Yeah.
like at night.
Uh-huh.
Thanks to Tom Holland, my guest last week, by the way, for the rental of his place. That was pretty remarkable. But
Hmm.
I was
Yeah.
just thinking too, man, how excited I was to come back and report that we were playing the Cavern Club in Liverpool a year after you and I were there.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
that
I wish I was there for that one,
oh
but I
yeah,
know you had your fun.
I
That was
did.
cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I almost got beat up that night too. Man, there was a girl outside, and she and a friend had too much to drink, and one tried to cold cock me so they could rob me. But
Jeez.
good thing I was on top of my game, sober and all that. But
Hmm.
the club gig was amazing. But the coolest thing about it was just, that I kind of was there as a stand-in for you. So
Yeah.
there's some video of that out on YouTube, but the clips are not great. I set up my GoPro so I could stream it, and the battery died right before we started playing. But there are 3 video clips I've seen on YouTube where people in the crowd got some of it. But it's a small place, as you remember, right? So you go in that back room, and it might hold, I don't know, 150, 200 people, maybe, and they're just packed in there like sardines. But just
Yeah.
goosebumps, just thinking, of course it's right next door, right from where the original Cavern Club, but they have it replicated exactly the same with a lot of the same materials. And so, yeah, I felt like it was more special to play there because of you and not just because of the historical thing. But the next time you and I go, you'll see that a flock of seagulls now has their brick on the wall of fame, which is cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That is so awesome. Yeah.
We've
Um, I'm, I'm
oh
really happy you got to play there.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah, I was happy too. Kbon, my
Yeah.
pal in Toronto, said, "Yeah, Nolan knows his stuff." Yes, he does. There's one thing about my kiddos, and they don't really do anything half-assed, and so, like his big brother, when he discovered Rush, it was all Rush, like 110%. Talked to him about any song, any lyric, any instrument, any sort of creative element behind the songs. He knows them. Nolan is exactly the same way with the Beatles. And the thing is, Nolan, for a long time, all I heard you listening to was either the Beatles, maybe Sam Smith or Ed Sheeran, right? Some newer stuff. And then
Mhm.
I started hearing you playing Jimi Hendrix and the Doors and the Who, and I'm thinking, where is this all this classic rock coming from? It's stuff that I listened to, but I never really introduced you guys to that. It was more Van Halen and Scorpions, So,
Right.
where did that
Yeah.
interest come from all the '60s rock?
Uh, well, I wanted to branch out a bit, listen to that era, the 60s and early 70s, 'cause I wanted to know more about like how they played, and what they sounded like. Just I don't know, yeah, like trying to branch out, 'cause I didn't want to be uh only into one thing, like only the Beatles, like
Right.
'cause then if no one really knows anything about the Beatles, you can't talk about music.
Yeah. I mean, how
But
many of your friends are
uh,
really big Beatles fans, right?
uh right, yeah,
Not
not like where they know like more than 20 songs, I feel
right.
like.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, I feel like pretty much everyone has like a little interest in the Beatles, so that's cool.
You'll be
But
surprised. There are always some people out there that feel like the Beatles were overrated, which is ridiculous. But
yeah.
I, but I didn't get into them as much until you were into them. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that. And Claudia in the chat says she hopes that you can get your diving license soon. I thought it said
Hmm.
driving at first, and he's been driving for a while. But yeah, the diving thing, we were hoping this year to get certified, right? So
Yeah.
if we can get scuba certified, then we'll be doing a lot more trips like that where we can go snorkeling and scuba, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I'd totally be happy to do that kind of thing. Unfortunately, we probably would have had it by now, except for COVID. But
Pesky COVID, man, doing things.
yeah, affecting everyone.
We'll
But
get it. Let's make a
yeah.
plan. I saw on the schedule. I'm looking at my calendar right now for the gigs, and we're back at W Fest in August.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Wow.
you want to come back over and do another European trip?
Oh man,
It'd be cool, huh?
that would. Yeah, for sure.
I,
I
there's
can't really say no to that,
there's
huh?
well, you know what? We've also got. Let's see. I don't see Liverpool on here, but we are doing the UK in a year from now, March in 22. Got another UK tour in UK and
Wow,
Spain, which will be cool. But um,
man.
yeah, but no Liverpool, which is a drag. And I know that you're just chomping at the bit to get to Cincinnati or Pittsburgh, but
Hmm.
um, more of these gigs. It's interesting because you've actually become pals with a lot of the '80s bands. When we've been out, and you've gotten to meet a bunch of
Yeah.
band members. Anybody stand out
Yeah.
to you that you think, oh yeah, you know what, I really like that person?
Yeah. Well, getting to know your band members was definitely cool. I really like Gord. He's awesome.
Yeah,
And Fondo, of course, and Mike.
yeah.
Um, but
Good
yeah, I
answer.
mean,
Good answer, by the way. No, I'm just kidding.
yeah. The guys at uh Real Life were
Oh
cool.
man,
Um,
David Sterry, what a sweet
and
man.
Wang
Yeah.
Chung.
Oh,
Wang Chung, of course.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh.
Yeah.
Josh kind of looks at you guys like nephews.
Mhm.
Josh Thompson.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah, man. Oh, look at this. Yeah, baby Rankin. Dana Carter sees you. Uh, yes, this is my baby. He's 19 and a half, and he's 6'2", handsome. He's working on the twist mustache right now.
Yeah,
So
eventually.
I love that. Yeah, and the hair's getting long. Like Dina's a hairstylist, so don't let her anywhere near you for right now because he's in the mid length stage. How long are you gonna grow it?
Man, I don't know honestly. I just wanted to. I started growing it after high school. When I got out of high school, I just wanted to see like how things would go. Like when I was in high school, I kind of just wanted to like have it cut um and now I just want to try something new. But
Yeah, looks good
yeah,
on you. I like
and
it.
the facial hair too.
Yeah,
Uh, but it's not gonna be a full beard yet. But
you had it going for a while. Actually, you shaved some of that off, but it didn't get you in the bars. We tried to get you in a couple weeks ago.
oh
Didn't
right,
pass. Our
no, not for drinks though.
round. No, we were trying to get in for trivia because our buddy
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
Mike May was doing trivia in Oregon City, and we tried to get in and heckle him for trivia. But
Hmm.
now they asked us both for IDs. No, that wasn't me. Sorry. Yeah, I tried. I tried. We're 3 hours after your vaccine. How you feeling? You feeling okay?
Yeah, yeah. Not a lot of pain, which is good.
Yeah.
So,
You feel
yeah. Yeah.
you feeling it in the face? I can feel my face flushed right now.
Really?
Yep. Yeah. It's not that I'm
Mm,
blushing, guys, even though I love that Dana and Claudia and all you wonderful people are there, Melinda. But yeah, no, I'm so grateful that we got in there to do it. We
for
got to wait
sure.
4 weeks to get the second one, which is kind of a drag.
Yeah.
Um, but you know what, man? We'll be vaccinated before you know it. Yeah, Claudia, I love Nolan's hair color too. And in fact, you know what? I just realized that it accents well. It really pops next to the distressed wood background of our screen here, which is kind of nice. You look like you
Oh
had the
yeah.
same color, totally planned, right? So yeah, interesting thing too is that when Caleb and Nolan were born, I didn't think we had any red hair in the family, right? It was grandparents back a long ways, grandmas, and Caleb came first, red hair, and I thought, what color was the mailman's hair that we had at that point? And then you came along, and I'm like, what the heck? But
Another mailman?
yeah, another mailman, another milkman, whatever, But I yeah, I had some red in here for a while before I just have this wisdom color now, so there is a little bit of me in you guys. I think there's definitely parts of both, but
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
let
Yeah.
I don't know if you've watched entire episodes of my show, but some things that I like to ask people are guilty pleasures, right? I like to know. Your friends know you pretty well. I think I know you fairly well. But what would somebody be surprised to find out about Nolan?
Um, yeah, that's kind of a hard question. You ask everyone that, right?
Yeah, it's become that way for sure. So,
Hmm.
uh, yeah, we've been nanotech. Yeah, we've got another conspiracy theorist. Thanks, Scott. Anyway, yeah, we'll try to make sure that we keep the world healthy for you and your family. Okay, thanks. Anyway, so Nolan, you can think about your guilty pleasure for a second. Let's talk about legacy. One of the things that I ask people when you are on your last days, right? You've watched a lot of different experiences with your grandparents and your sibling, your parents. Um, I think you're somebody that seems to observe more than um, speak directly. So I always can tell that you're kind of analyzing a situation, learning more about the situation. So if we think about what you've learned in your time and what you would like to apply towards your legacy. So on your last days, when Nolan Rankin is 99 years old and you're laying in your bed ready to go, what do you want to be remembered for?
Mm, um, well, I definitely want to be known as like the nice guy, I guess. But do want to, I want to be in like good enough shape when I'm older, maybe not 99, but old enough where my grandkids are my age. And I'll still be able to do things with them, like go for ice cream, go see a movie. Um,
Longboard.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I want to be able to like uh, hang out with them, and I want to take care of my body so that I'm fit to walk. Maybe run. I don't know about running, but I know that's kind of hard to do as your back gets older and your knees get older. But
I can attest to that. Yeah,
but
man.
yeah, for my legacy, as I wanna, I want people to look at me uh, as like a nice person, and I don't want to keep any enemies.
Mm.
Before I die, I definitely want to like make sure that no one is really mad at me. Uh, um, and hope that they can forgive me if I if it ever comes to that. But
Well, it's hard for me to imagine, honestly. I think, you're your biggest critic, and I am too. So when I've wronged somebody, I definitely internalize it. I feel bad about it. It hangs with me for a little while. I see that you've already started that legacy. You've certainly made a lot of great impressions on people. There's not a person I've met that gets to know you first and then says, "Man, you're Nolan Rankin's father. He's the nicest person we've ever met." And I say the same thing. I mean, as you know, your grandparents, my parents, call you Saint Nolan, which is adorable. But I think my legacy is to learn a lot from you. One thing that I know is that in a world that's really divided and a lot of people, mostly political, but a lot of religious and and other interests, like people fight and they have disagreements because they're different. The thing that I've noticed most about you is your acceptance and appreciation for people's differences. And for me, I have to take a step back a lot of times and realize, why was I judging that person? Or why was I disconnected from them? And it was because maybe I had this subconscious thing that I saw that they were different. But I see that you in your circle of friends, you're all different, right? You embrace the differences in a lot of them, and you're the bridge between a lot of these people. I know that a lot of your friends have completely diverse interests in politics or sports or music
Mhm.
or anything, cars, and
Yeah,
you seem to be the guy that is sort of this bridge of diplomacy, between them. You're a diplomat. You're the ambassador of good vibes, and so I think that legacy is fantastic. Um, Ms. Valdez in the chat here says that's a wonderful legacy to strive for. I want the same. Yeah, you know, it's interesting because sometimes people talk about their legacy and they say, I want an empire of cars and money and houses, right? And you and I both know if 99-year-old Nolan is on his last days, you're not taking those cars with you, right? You, you're not taking the
Mhm.
Rolex, you're not taking the Lambo. It's just um, it's the stuff you left behind with people, right? So you talked about not wanting to make enemies and have been known to be a nice guy. I think you've done a great job of establishing that. Um, if if you looked ahead into your adulthood and money was no object, in fact, if Elon Musk said, "Hey Nolan, I'm going to give you a open credit card, unlimited budget," what would you do right now with that money?
Geez, that's always such a hard question.
Because
Um,
this might
there.
tie into your guilty pleasures, So we'll see.
Oh, true. Yeah. Well, having unlimited money is definitely a hard thing because there are so many things you can do with that. Uh, some for good, some for bad. Like, of course, helping out others is definitely one of them through charities and um, people who are struggling. Um, But yeah, family does come first. So definitely wanting to help out, like my grandparents would be one of them, and my mom, I guess, my brother, but not too much.
Yeah,
He's got to work too.
yeah.
No.
Your brother can take care of
Uh,
himself.
but yeah, and it'd be cool, like get a fast carb, like everyone would. But
Yeah.
um, and um,
Yeah, so
yeah,
you talked about the charities. Is there anything in specific or anything that that stands out to you that you would actually try to support and involve?
right. Well, after seeing how much Meryl Hale has gone through, um, ALS would definitely be one of the top ones. Um, and cancer foundations, um, it affects a lot of people. Um,
Yeah, I mean that.
children,
Oh yeah.
children, like children's leukemia type of thing.
Okay.
Um,
That, I love that. You're going to fill up Elon's credit limit pretty hard. But it's great though. I mean, of course, the stuff that you see really close. Cancer has affected the family in a lot of ways, and certainly ALS is something that is unbelievably difficult to see because you know that it's a progressive disease and it's not getting better. And to
yeah,
see somebody that's like our family, that's dealing with that, um, I love that you would want to do something to support them. Yeah, I know that causes are important to you because there's no way I would have gotten involved doing Horns for the Homeless and homeless outreaches had it not been for you and your interest in trying to take care of these guys, out on the in the Portland streets. Caleb just joined. He says, "No, hi Caleb, how you doing?" You probably still have a link to here if you want to jump in and ask any questions for your brother. But um, if you don't know, guys out there, 7 years ago we started Horns for the Homeless. In fact, yesterday was the anniversary of that, and every city on the planet right now is really suffering from economic disparity, right? There are a lot of haves and a lot of have-nots, and the people that have nots, that divide is widening. And so when you see a lot of people in the streets, it's for a lot of different reasons, right? And so when we saw like kids out there, that was the
hmm
difficult thing, right? When you see kids your age at that point and younger out there without shoes, that was our first goal, right? You remember that?
yeah,
And
shoes and socks.
shoes and
Yeah.
socks. So yeah, so we started going out and distributing shoes and socks. You had early release on Wednesdays, so you'd get
hmm
out of school, we'd cruise downtown as fast as we could. We had collected shoes from everybody and picked up socks, for folks and coats as much as we could and blankets. And remember
hmm
popping the back of the vehicle open and going into the bridges. And then for me, talking to them was really important. You remember that? And
Yeah,
as a
yeah,
shy kid, I know it was tough for you, but
yeah.
but what
You were
stood out?
definitely way better than I was at that.
But
But
what stood out to you when you talked to some of the folks that were out in the streets? What do you still remember about it?
right, like the Horns for the Homeless events were really cool, um, because we didn't just get up and go around. We actually had time to talk with the people after they got help and got to hear the music. But yeah, and all the volunteers were really nice, and it was really good to have them there. Um, it it kind of opened my mind up as a kid too, because not everyone can get up every day and go to school. Um, even at my age, when I was down at the O'Brien Square, um, and yeah, it was really cool. Uh,
Do Do you remember any of the people you talked to?
I don't remember names.
Yeah, oh no, for sure. But do
Um,
you remember any details of their story, the people that told you?
um,
I know one person in particular, somebody that was very close to you, who I had on the show a couple weeks ago. Um,
Danny.
yeah, Danny,
Yeah, Danny.
kind of like a brother to me, right? And
Mhm.
seeing, because I don't know if you knew this, but when he first started working with horns, nobody knew he was homeless, right? He
Mhm.
hid it all from us because he was embarrassed, and his pride kept him from talking to us. But he was so supportive of horns. You remember he was building bikes for Walmart, and so he would get them to donate dog food for the people on the streets that had animals. And then he finally needed some dog food for himself, and we talked about it. And he said, I've actually been on the streets for a couple of years now, and we had no idea. But you and Caleb both were great about going out when we had snow and bringing in hand warmers and stuff to him, and talking to him and trying to see what we could do to help, but also have him help himself, you know? And that would be a difficult thing when you're in that kind of bind, to be able to pick yourself up and completely turn your life around with really no resources, you know? We got to look out for those people that don't have any help, I think, you know? But I saw you
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to make this all heavy. I just
No, it's okay.
I'm proud of you for, the work you've done and your interest in other people. Now I'm going to turn it around. You got to tell me your guilty pleasure. What's something that, you don't have to tell me. I'll close my ears, but you can tell other people,
No, it's okay. Um, Guilty pleasure. Um,
like if we listen to your playlist right now, and we just heard nothing but Ariana Grande. That's not that embarrassing, right? But you can admit, like in Bieber, that's fine, but maybe something that you do that seems silly, right? It seems silly to
mm,
you, but you're gonna do it anyway. It doesn't matter.
uh, Jeez.
It's a tough one. I know. You
Yeah,
might have to.
yeah.
You want to save it till
Uh,
episode 2?
well, I mean, I I guess I play like kid games, video games sometimes. Like, it is kind of embarrassing, but I'll still like play Minecraft every once in a while. Uh, and it's a little different because it's not like it was my first time playing it. As a kid, it was so fun. It was like what I looked forward to coming home to and playing. And it's still fun to come back to, and things like that. Like uh, I don't know, like Roblox. But it's fun to play with friends. And I have like younger friends. Meryl's son, he plays that. Julie Joachim's son, or sorry, grandson. Um, but
Her son might too. Who knows? Ryan might be playing Roblox as we speak.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know. That's probably one of
Yeah,
my more embarrassing things.
I like that. I'm glad that you admitted it. You heard it first, folks, right here on on All Access Live. Yeah,
Nolan Rankin still plays kid video
yeah.
games.
Well, what's going to happen is we're going to show this to your grandkids, and say when Nolan was 19. Nah, it's fun to kind of open up and just like spill your guts, because who cares what people think, really, right? There's no reason
Right.
to feel guilty about it. But
Yeah.
Nolan, I love you, man. I really do. You're such an amazing man. Thank you for taking care of me today, taking me up to get my vaccination and getting one as well, being brave. And um, I'm grateful for that. And really just being an inspiration for me. What would Nolan do is constantly on my mind.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Dad. I love you too.
Awesome. Uh,
Thanks for having me on your show.
I'm glad we got you here. Folks,
Yeah.
if you're watching, if you've got an interest, I would love to have you jump back through the other 178 episodes of All Access Live. You can subscribe to this channel at this link. Boom. And as soon as I can, I will make sure that I get the Adrian Oast episode scheduled and rescheduled. He apologized for forgetting about today, so that's all cool. it'll be fun. He's got quite a story as well. And then tomorrow, I've got Nolan's old keyboard teacher on the show, Brian Harris, who is an incredible keyboardist, great singer, wonderful musician and songwriter. Moved out here from the East Coast, and he's in about as many bands as you can possibly fill in a day. But he's played with a bunch of international bands and done big, huge blues festivals. And maybe we'll get him to play a little music tomorrow. And then maybe we can have you show what you still remember from. No, I'm just kidding, Nolan.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. Yes, man. Well, listen, folks, I really appreciate you being here. Thanks again to Five Star Guitars for being a great support of the show. Thank you guys for being here with me. I really appreciate you coming back and hanging out with us. It's not very often that I just get an hour of uninterrupted time with Nolan that we can just rap about stuff. So maybe one of these days we'll get the other kiddo on here too, and we'll just talk stuff, not music or anything else. And um, be back here tomorrow. Brian Harris, 3 o'clock Pacific. Next week we've got fun guests as well. So make sure if you subscribe, you'll be notified of them all. I'll have this episode archived as well. You can go to accesskevin.com and see the rest of them. So thanks again, Claudia. Wonderful to see you here. Everybody here. Thanks for being here. Have a beautiful day, guys. If you're anywhere near the sun that we've got, get out there and enjoy it. Nolan, thanks again, pal.
Thank you.